That's why they don't.
Yeah. Now that's a big deal. Can you hold this thing for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through them and beefed about their arbitrary close down of Nevada test site.
And if you'll roll, I'll start narration. Here comes the truck. Now, this is the armored truck that will carry Lee Harold Oswald from the basement here of Dallas Police Headquarters downtown to the Dallas County Sheriff's Office and the Dallas County Jail. Strict security precautions have been exercised from the very beginning and have been even increased this morning as fear arises and grows stronger that someone may attempt to take the life of the man accused of murdering the President of the United States. Inside the basement here at Dallas Police Headquarters, guards are stationed at points all across the inside of the basement. All incoming cars throughout the morning have been carefully checked. Even the police vehicles have been searched inside the trunk and inside the rear compartments of paddy wagons that have entered here in the basement. Officers have checked every vehicle coming in, and no one who is not a member of the press and not able to show identification can enter the basement. The basement is empty except for a large gathering of reporters who are now watching the truck being moved into position. Outside the building, a large force of heavily armed police have kept a constant ring around Dallas City Hall, and a comparatively small group of spectators are now gathered across from the basement entrance from which the armored car will depart. Security precautions have been tightened more and more as the morning has worn on. According to the people in the jail office, Oswald spent a restful night and got perhaps a good night's sleep. They said that he did rest well and was awakened a short while ago. From here to Dallas County Sheriff's Office and the jail there, a heavy police escort will accompany the armored car in which Lee Harold Oswald will be riding. Jail office to the armored vehicle will be clear. Armed guards are stationed throughout Dallas City Hall and the police headquarters. There is a ring of armed policemen outside, some carrying riot guns, some carrying riot guns and handguns as well. A number of police vehicles are lined up further to our rear here in the basement and are preparing to depart along with the armored vehicle. The car is being backed slowly down the ramp here into the basement. Apparently they're having some difficulty in clearance. This is an armored truck from the Dallas County Sheriff's Department, and apparently the clearance is going to be a little bit high. It's difficult from our vantage point here to see exactly what trouble the officers are having. People still are wondering exactly when Oswald will come down, and although from yesterday morning it has been known that Oswald would be transferred from the Dallas City Jail to the Dallas County Jail, no one has known exactly when the transfer would take place. It was only known that it would take place when full preliminary questioning had been completed by the office of Dallas Homicide Captain Will Fritz. Far into the night last night, reporters kept their vigil here at Dallas City Hall, and only after the announcement came shortly before 10 o'clock Central Standard Time was it known that Oswald would be moved today. This is Nelson Benton.
Where's our camera? Where's the floor manager? What? Excuse me, Tom. Where's our floor manager? Will you tell me what they want from me here, please? This is Benton. Yeah. This is Benton. Go ahead. You don't know what they want from here as yet. Lee, I would like, if it's all right, if they want a situation, let me tell them we'd like to start where I can see both monitors. You can take this scene down here first, then you can take the exterior, and I'll walk in the camera before I get through with it, okay? Okay, I'll come up there and tell you about it. Thank you. I don't understand what they want. I'm going to have to go back. Okay. We'll give you all. All right, be talking just about like this. Have they given you any idea of what they want right now yet?
I think the situation faces out. It looks like it may be too imminent.
Well,
If they want a situation, tell them that we'll start it. I'll be off here. We'll start with this shot.
well, if you want, I can get on your. Well, if you want, I can start up in front of the armored car, and you can just listen to what I'm talking about and use your camera. But the main thing is that when he actually leaves, I want to be here where I can see him. Yeah.
If you talking here.
Right. And once he gets in the van, I'll go out there so that once he pulls away, you can pick me up, both video and audio.
Well, there'll be not a lot of talk in here. You'll probably speak.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right.
Well, do you want me to just do it out there?
Whichever you think you want to do it.
Please.
I think you should do a lot better. See, going out there, he's back down and like he's telling what's going on.
If they want a situation, I'll go out and stand by the truck.
Why don't you do it right here?
All right.
You want to do the audio over him getting in?
No. If he's getting in, let Huffaker try to grab him or get anything he can. If I see microphones in his face down there, I'm going to shut up. And you take audio from down there until he's in the truck.
Well, we'll speed both audio.
Very good.
Yeah, I got it. See, we've got to keep the speaker on so we don't get feedback. Unfortunately, the audio man's the only guy there that's hearing you. I'll follow.
But there's no point in my trying to get where I can be seen. I'd rather see what's going on. Once the truck is gone, I'll keep talking and go on out to the camp.
I'll try to get you audio.
If you can get me.
Huh?
Well, Well, there's no way I can ask the guy any questions. Yeah, well, but I'd like to pick up the natural audio from down there. Pick up natural sound from down there. All right, we got a little activity down there. I don't know what it is. Which is that's the line. All right.
Yeah, you see
This is the news audio only.
He's going to leave.
Don't close the door. I'm going to leave eventually. Right. Just tell him get the mic.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
When I throw it, I just throw it to the courthouse. Ready to go. Is that right?
See that better. Look at that, Pat.
Do I
think.
throw it to the courthouse on my own discretion?
Get over there and try.
Do they know who's at the courthouse?
Okay, don't forget it. Do it quick.
This is the basement floor of the Dallas City Hall, and that's a scuffle on the basement floor. It seems to concern photographers.
He has been shot. Oswald has been shot.
Lee Oswald.
Oswald has been
We're
shot.
going to switch now.
Police are pulling.
We're going to switch now to Bob Hofhacker down in the basement of the courthouse, who is close to the scene. Go ahead, Bob.
Lee Harold Oswald has been shot.
All right, I'm going outside. Now, this is the exterior of the Dallas City Hall. We're watching this policeman guarding the door.
I saw a man there.
Now we're back downstairs.
Detective. He was a stocky guy, well dressed, with a hat. He had a hat.
Where did he go?
Brown hat up. I don't know. I think his coat was brown and his hat was.
Where did
black.
he go, Pierre?
Well, he was here. He just shot there. He just put the gun there. I saw the flash on the black sweater. Oh yeah, right in the back. And the guy. Oh, wait, did you see the gun? Right here. I mean, I saw the flash on the black sweater. That's what I remember. The flash. The both were crouching. No, I saw him there. He was in the group of men right here.
Masquerading as one of us or what?
I thought he was one of the detectives. You know, he had a hat and stocky was well dressed. That's what I remember.
Had you seen him before?
I think he had his hat.
There were none of us in this
Or maybe
area.
he flew up. I don't know. Because I look at the flash.
There were no reporters in this area.
What?
No.
The trouble is I got distracted. I can't see.
All right, now that's the situation here.
The situation is now that Lee Harold Oswald has been shot. The man who saw the shot fired said it was fired by a man wearing a black hat, a brown coat, a man that everyone down here thought was a Secret Service agent. Oswald was moved immediately from the area. No one knows at this time where Lee Harold Oswald is. At the present time, word is that an ambulance is being ready to take Oswald away. We can hear sirens outside, and an ambulance apparently is moving down now into the basement. Here comes the ambulance, and Oswald will be removed now. The ambulance is being pulled up in front of us here.
It's almost unbelievable.
Here, someone has...
Get back! Back! Okay, just get low. Okay.
Pat, can you move? Okay. Pat, move just a little to your left.
We can see now that police are
There you
hemming
go.
off
There you go,
newsmen
boy.
in the basement of the
Okay.
Dallas City Hall, hemming them off so that Lee Oswald can be taken to an ambulance, which was just brought into the basement of the City Hall.
Situation
We're switching
is
now to
that
Bob Huffaker downstairs.
Oswald will be moved quickly outside, and the only word so far is that the shot came from a man wearing a black hat and a coat. Here comes Oswald. He is ashen and unconscious at this time, now being moved in. He's not moving. He's in the ambulance now, and attendants, police are quickly climbing in. They're now having to remove the armored truck from the head of the basement entrance here. And the ambulance is waiting for the attendants to move the armored truck, which
This is the armored truck on the outside of the Dallas Police Department. It's being moved out onto Commerce Street, and now the ambulance is coming out. The ambulance with Lee Harvey Oswald, who was shot just a few minutes ago as he was being transferred to the was planning to be transferred from the city jail to the county courthouse. Now let's go back to Harry Reasoner in New York.
received emergency treatment. When Oswald left, his face was ashen. He was not moving. He lay on... Captain?
What do you look like?
Captain,
Captain, what is it?
Do they have him in there, Captain?
No one walking.
The man is now in there, according to Captain C.O. Arnett, we just talked with here. Captain.
With the identification, your press identification, so forth, you won't come through the doors you may now.
Okay, sir. Captain Arnett, he actually is now inside there. Did they have the gun?
He's in the cell.
He's in the cell, and did they get the gun? They did get the gun. What kind was it? Do you know?
No, I don't.
And he was known locally, is that correct?
I think so.
Are you prepared at this time to say his name?
No.
Okay, sir. The situation is mass confusion here in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters, where Lee Harold Oswald, the man accused of assassinating the President of the United States, has just sustained a bullet wound injury by a man whom everyone down here thought was a member of the Secret Service. The man is now high above us in a cell of Dallas Police Headquarters. They do have the gun. No one says what kind it is as yet. However, Lee Harold Oswald is now in an ambulance speeding on his way to Dallas Parkland Hospital for emergency treatment. Only 2 days ago, the situation in Dallas was extra precaution to ensure the safety of the President of the United States. And today, it was the precaution to ensure the safety of the man accused of his murder, Lee Harold Oswald, the 24-year-old ex-Marine who is now on his way to Parkland Hospital. Further word will be coming from inside just as soon as we can get information on where this man is, who the man is, who fired the shot that struck Oswald before our very eyes. We'll have the information from then. Outside, there is still a ring of police officers continuing to encircle Dallas Police Headquarters. And exactly what is happening on the inside of that room, we don't know. Captain
We're standing
Steele
now outside the city police department of Dallas, where Lee Harvey Oswald was shot a few moments ago. There's a law official out of our camera range who we're going to try to get what's being said. Okay, newsmen are being allowed down into the basement now. Those on the outside of the building were kept outside by police, and this discussion here has just been over whether they're to be allowed inside. The information that we've been able to get so far is that Lee Harvey Oswald, as he was about to be transferred from here at the Dallas City Jail, came down to the basement, was headed toward an armored car that was to take him to the county jail. He was shot. We do not know who shot him. However, the man who shot him, the word from down here is that he has been arrested. The weapon that was used to shoot him, the police have, and now the investigation is going on somewhere probably up on either the third or fourth floor of the Dallas City Police Department. I think Bob Huffaker is down where the shooting occurred. We'll see if we can pull him in now. Bob Huffaker, if you have anything, would you please come in from down in the basement of the City Hall from the spot?
No, he made a straight dive for him, but he was from behind and the left of me from somewhere. Because I was trying to get them to get that car back down here because they had the car blocked here and they had it here. And as I tried to get them back, while he broke through from behind me somewhere.
What so far has been done with the man that you took into custody?
I couldn't tell you. I've been trying to keep the mob out of the way.
You have a man in custody, sir?
No,
You do have a man in custody who fired the shot?
Oh, yes, sir.
Did you see him fire the shots?
No.
And how many people thus far have said that they did see the actual
I couldn't tell you a thing about it
shot
because I
fired?
didn't see it. I was trying to get the press out of the way so we could get to the car.
Do you have the name of the suspect?
Yes. There's the deputy chief right over there.
Okay.
Could you please tell me again, sir, what happened? I'm sorry, I just arrived.
Well, I can't tell you.
Pat, did you see that man fire the shot?
I didn't see him as he fired it. At the moment the shot was fired, I turned around. I did see the smoke from the gun. It was that instant.
Did you see the gun in his hand?
No, I didn't.
This is Sergeant Patrick Dean of the Dallas Police Department who was standing beside us. Pat, you saw the smoke from the gun.
Yes.
And did you see the man?
Yes.
What did he look like to you, Pat?
Well, he was a man dressed in a suit, would appear as one of the pressmen. However, I was at the top of the ramp, Bob, waiting at the armored car that we were supposed to take into the county jail in.
Right.
Now, that's from that location is when I saw the smoke from the gun. As far as identifying him at that time, at that distance, I couldn't.
Right. I know you were.
We happened to Oswald.
He was taken back into the jail office. An ambulance was called, and he is at the hospital now.
Where was he?
At Parkland Hospital?
He had a wound in his lower left abdomen. As far as I could tell, it was the only one. I think there was only one shot that was fired.
It appeared, right, there was only one shot. It was right here. But, Pat, you say it was in his lower left abdomen.
Yes, sir.
He was unconscious inside?
Yes, he was.
Does he look like he's dying?
I wouldn't want to say.
Did you hear anything he said? Did he say anything? He touched himself, and did he say anything?
Are you talking about Oswald or?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He was
What
unconscious.
about the man? Did he run at all, or what happened?
No, he was immediately subdued by the officers at the time he fired the shot.
How many shots?
Just one shot. Now then, thus far, Pat, is the man upstairs in the cell?
As far as I know, he's either in the jail or at Captain Fritz's office. I imagine he'd probably be in jail.
Do you know this subject? Do you know him? Have you seen him before?
Yes, I do.
Is he from Dallas?
Yes.
He is?
I couldn't tell you.
I know you can't release the name now, but do you know what kind of business he happens to be in?
Bob, I wouldn't want to say.
Right.
Did he have to be disarmed or did he give up?
we had to disarm him.
Did he struggle?
As much as he could, yes, but he was.
The struggle completely
he was
filled
mumbling.
his
I couldn't hear. I couldn't understand what he did say.
Now, do you
Was
know?
it a
Did
pistol
Oswald
that
say
he
anything?
had? Did he
No,
have a
Oswald
pistol?
didn't.
What?
Did he
Now,
have a pistol?
Yes,
do you
it
know
was a
what
pistol.
kind of pistol he was
No,
carrying?
Bob, I never saw the pistol itself. Some other, I think Officer Graves had got the gun immediately after he fired the shot.
He was in a civilian clothes.
Yes.
Try to get away?
No, he was immediately subdued by the
But
officers.
he wouldn't have had a chance to get
No,
away.
sir.
How many
What
shots
did
were fired?
Just one
One.
shot.
Did
What
you
was
see?
Oswald wearing? Do you remember when he came out?
I didn't pay too much attention.
But
What,
did you know the man? Did you see the man before?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Did
yes.
you,
You saw his face
Yes, sir.
and you knew him.
Yes, sir.
Pat, he is a resident of Dallas, is he not?
Yes, sir.
Would you
And that's
say
all
he
I'd
was
want to say about the man
feet away
incident.
when the shot was fired, about 3 feet away from Oswald? It looked like that about
We're questioning Officer Patrick Dean of the Dallas Police Department, who was standing beside me when the shot was fired here in the basement as Lee Harold Oswald was almost ready to go to Dallas County Jail.
I came immediately down the ramp to assist the officers.
Officer, do you know this man personally? Yes. In the line of duty or in another way?
Sir, I wouldn't want to say.
But he is known to you as a police officer.
And not as a police officer?
That is, you as a police
I
officer
see.
know him. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was he connected in any way with this?
I don't know.
Had you seen him here in the building before the shot was fired?
No, sir.
Pat, could you outline briefly some of the security precautions that were taken immediately before this happened?
Yes, sir. We thoroughly searched the basement. We had searched even the cars up on top of the pipes and things that a person might conceal himself. There was about 15 to 20 men that had searched this place prior to 30 minutes. In fact, searched it twice, about an hour before and then 30 minutes before.
How many officers did you have outside approximately, would you say?
About 20.
About 20
uniformed
officers outside the building, and they are armed with riot guns, pistols, and all kinds of things.
Yes, sir. Some few of them are.
And you were then ready?
Before in here?
No, sir.
You haven't
Today, no, sir.
Not today. Is there anything else that you possibly might tell us about him, Pat? I know that at the present time you're bound and can't say very much, but you have said that he is from Dallas and that you do know this subject and have seen him before.
Yes, sir. I do know.
Is there anything that you could say about him further than the fact that he is a resident of Dallas, the man who shot Oswald, to shed some more light on it?
Well, Bob, that would be all I'd want to say, really.
I'm sure that's the case. Now, at present, what in the way of release is going on inside? How soon do you think we're going to be able to know who this man is?
Well, the information would have to come from Captain Fritz's office.
Now, Captain Fritz came out of this door just a few steps ahead of Oswald. Do you know where he is at present?
No, sir, I don't.
Right. Captain Will Fritz is the master interrogator who was carrying on the interrogation yesterday.
Security precautions have been taken. Were there
Merely
some
for the-
threatening phone calls during the night that there might be some effort to take?
I couldn't
Oswald's
answer that.
life?
I don't know.
Have you heard that?
This is the case here in the basement of Dallas City Hall. The information is that the man who shot Lee Harold Oswald was a resident of Dallas. He was a man known to Dallas police. At present, he is high above us in a cell where he was taken only moments after the shot was fired. The shot was fired directly before our eyes, and we saw Lee Harold Oswald crumple and then be carried away quickly to Parkland Hospital by an ambulance. This is Bob Huffaker in the basement of Dallas City Hall.
Being let out by Captain Fritz. There is the prisoner. There is Lee Oswald.
He's been shot. He's been shot. Lee Oswald has been shot. There's a man with a gun. It's absolute panic. Absolute panic here in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters. Detectives have their guns drawn. Oswald has been shot.
There is no question about it. Oswald has been shot. Pandemonium has broken loose here in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters. Now, whether the bullet literally hit Oswald or not, we are not absolutely positive. But there has been a gunshot. Oswald reached for his stomach, doubled up. It'll be impossible to determine whether he was hit or not. Did you see whether or not he was hit? He was hit, wasn't he?
He grabbed himself on the side and fell to the ground.
That was my
With a
understanding.
cry.
We were, what, 4 feet away
I was
from
5 feet in front of him when they shot.
What is your name?
Frank Johnson.
And you're with?
UPI.
He did grab his stomach. I saw him
Yes,
grab
he did.
his stomach.
Right from the side.
Lee Oswald obviously has been shot. The witnesses around us here seem to confirm that. It happened so fast and with such suddenness that you can understand it is virtually impossible to determine the direction from which the bullet came, although police obviously in a rather excited state are attempting to determine where the shot came from. Captain. Well, now, tell me your name.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Edwards from KHJ Radio in Los Angeles.
Well, how did you see it, Jeff?
I was standing over towards the left. Oswald came out. He had the same look on his face that he always does or has. Suddenly, what sounded like a loud firecracker rang out. He grabbed his side and he said, "Ow!" and fell to the ground.
Fell to the ground. And I saw the flash right on his black sweater. The flash. Oh yeah. The man had a hat, a dark hat, a brown suit. He was stocky and strong. Came to him and he put the gun right there. I saw the flash over the black sweater. Yeah, and the man stood like. Oh, he was right here. The man was right here. You probably had it on your TV camera. No, I saw a man there. I thought he was one of the detectives. Well, he was a stocky guy, well dressed, with a hat. He had a hat on.
Where did he go?
Brown hat up. I don't know. I think his coat was brown and his hat was
Where did
black.
he go, Pierre?
Well, he was here. He just shot there. He just put the gun there. I saw the flash on the black sweater. Oh yeah, right there. And the guy. Oh, wait, did you see it,
range.
Yeah, right here. I mean, I saw the flash on the black sweater. That's what I remember. The flash. The both were crouching. No, I saw him there. He was in the group of men right here.
Masquerading as one of us or what?
I thought he was one of the detectives. He had a hat and stocky. He was well dressed. That's what I remember. Fast.
Had you seen him before?
I think he had his hat.
There were none of us in this
Or maybe
area.
he flew off. I don't know because I look at the flash.
There were
That's
no
all.
reporters in this area.
What?
No.
The trouble is I got the story and I can say it.
All right, now that's the situation here at Dallas Police Headquarters in the basement. We're in this story which has been so unreal from the very beginning. As Lee Oswald, 24 years old, was attempting to move through a crowd to the armored car where he was to be transferred to the Dallas County Jail. As Oswald came out, he was asked, "Did you shoot the president?" or something along those lines. And at that hour, at that moment, at that instant, sometime about 11:15 in Dallas, someone walked up to Oswald. At point-blank range, fired into his stomach. An ambulance now is coming here. This will be the ambulance to take Lee Oswald to wherever he will receive medical treatment. It is almost unbelievable. It's almost unbelievable. This is the back end of the ambulance.
If you can get back. If you can get back. As far as I know, no.
Do you have the man who fired?
We have a man, yes. I didn't hear you.
The back of the ambulance has been opened. Police and detectives are now standing cordoned off. Here comes a squad car driving in from the north side of the Dallas Police basement. Yes, you have one man, do you not,
Yes.
Captain?
Yes, I didn't see it, so we've got the man I think did it.
Here he comes. Here's Oswald again. He is now lying very pale on the stretcher. He's being put into the ambulance head first. There's a group of detectives around the rear end of the ambulance. Now they have the problem that the ambulance is blocked by the armored car out on Commerce Street. The armored car, which was to take Lee Oswald to Dallas County Jail, now is blocking the exit of the ambulance, which is to take him to a hospital. Captain, where will he be taken? Captain, where will he be taken?
I'm assuming Parkland Hospital.
Parkland Hospital, the irony of ironies, the place where President John F. Kennedy died. The armored car now has been cleared out of the entranceway. The ambulance is leaving Dallas Police Headquarters. Dallas police say they do have a man in custody. They believe he is the man who walked up to Lee Oswald at point-blank range and fired a revolver into his stomach. Oswald grabbed at his midsection, fell to the floor. Now you can see the pandemonium that once again has broken loose.
We got a man that I believe, I didn't see it. I think it's the man.
You got him? What's he look like?
I can't give you a description now. He is known locally.
He's known locally?
What's his name?
That was a captain of the Dallas police saying the man that they are holding is known locally, a man wearing a black hat.
Is he hurt at all? Who is he?
Has someone else been wounded, do you know?
What do you look like? You see him, Captain?
Captain, what is it?
He's known locally. They have his gun in there.
According to Captain C.O. Arnett.
Come on, we gotta get the
Captain,
with the identification, your press identification, if you want to come through the doors, you may.
Okay, sir.
Chief Stevenson. Chief Stevenson, what can you tell us? This is live.
I can't tell you anything as yet. You were present here, I believe, when it occurred.
Too close.
Yes. I have no further information other than that the man is in custody that did the shooting, and we are starting our work on this angle, of course.
Can you tell us the nature of the wound that Oswald received?
I cannot. I was several feet removed when it happened. I don't know where he was hit as yet. He is en route to the hospital.
Did you see the man pulling a gun?
No, sir, I did not.
Tell these fellas to let us out of here. They won't let us out. We tell them you said to let us out, and they won't let us out.
I will see about that in just one minute.
Sorry.
Chief, would you tell us as nearly as you can the sequence of events as it happened? Oswald was being brought out.
Yes. You would excuse me a minute. Let me clean this out. I'll be glad to talk with you
All right,
as soon as
Chief.
I can get to you.
Appreciate that. You can well understand that the situation now is this. One man is in custody. Oswald has been wounded and is en route to Parkland Hospital, where President Kennedy died. As you can well imagine, the events that have happened here in front of our cameras, and I'm sure some of you have seen them and still do not believe them. We are now going to have a replay of this. All right, now by videotape, you will see again the dramatic events as Lee Oswald was being transferred to an armored car for transportation to Dallas County Jail. Here is that videotape.
That is film of him being shot. Period.
So, we're going to cut right back to you for a recap after this playback of the shooting.
Then what do I do?
This is going on
John, stay with me here. Did you see it? No. So here we are again, where it is so quiet now. Could you tell me, officer, you're a detective. Are you a detective with Dallas
Yes, I
Police?
am.
You were standing right there, weren't you?
I was
sir?
trying to get the press out of the way so we could get to the car. That's the reason I couldn't see what took place.
Now the matter of pulling together eyewitnesses and people, those of us who were literally here and watching, are not sure of what we saw, except we do know this, that Lee Oswald has been taken to Parkland Hospital in an ambulance. The ambulance was delayed because of the armored car. The armored car, which was to have taken him to Dallas County Jail. Police tell us that they have one man in custody, a man who is known locally, and we'll try to pick up some of this conversation.
That first thing, when I goes and they coming back up here, they just want them to come on. Well, McGee's got them over there.
Camera because I helped hold that camera as he started off. It went into the crowd over there. The camera never was hooked up. And this man came from behind this camera or from this corner and just dove out of the crowd.
He came from behind that car, that green car there. He jumped up over the rail. I saw the gun.
All that information now. Each of you, including Lieutenant Swain, get with him to let him talk to the chief or Captain Fritz there.
Yes, sir, man.
I'll get him on.
There you have heard some of the reports of Dallas detectives as to how this man happened to get at Oswald. He was apparently sitting in a car directly behind our cameras, leaped out of the car over a rail at Oswald, pointing a revolver at his stomach, pulled the trigger. Oswald grabbed his stomach, slumped over to the ground, saying what sounded like a rather loud moan.
Is he in this building, Oswald?
He has gone to the hospital.
And what about the man who has been caught? Is he in this building?
He is in custody here.
I see.
Chief, can you tell us what you know now about the man that you do have in custody?
Personally, I don't know anything about him. I merely know his name, and that's all I know.
And what can you tell us about the nature of Oswald's wounds?
I don't even know that. I don't know where the man was struck. I won't know until we hear from the hospital.
All right, Captain, can you give us any report now on...
No further report right at this time.
This is live from the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters. Absolutely unbelievable, incredible. Lee Oswald, the man charged with assassinating the President of the United States himself before our very eyes, was shot by a man who leaped out of that green car down there, apparently, over the rail, into the crowd, through the reporters, directly at Oswald, who was standing just about right here where I am. It happened so fast, no one really knows what happened, but here we have a further report.
Now then, this car, Pat, is the man upstairs in the cell.
As far as I know, he's either in the jail or at Captain Fritz's office.
Did he give
I
up?
imagine he could probably be in jail.
Do you know this subject? Do you know him? Have you seen him before?
Yes, I do.
Is he from Dallas?
Yes.
Who is he?
I couldn't tell you.
I know you can't release the name now, but do you know what kind of business he happens to be in?
Bob, I wouldn't want to say.
Right.
Did he have to be disarmed or did he give up?
We had to disarm him.
Did he struggle?
As much as he could, yes, but he was...
Say anything?
The struggle.
He was mumbling. I couldn't hear. I couldn't understand what he did say.
Did Oswald say anything?
No, Oswald didn't.
What?
Now,
Did he have a pistol?
Yes,
do you know
it was a
what
pistol.
kind of pistol he was
No,
carrying?
Bob, I never saw the pistol itself. Some other, I think Officer Grace had got the gun immediately after he fired the shot.
Officer,
He was in civilian clothes.
Yes.
Did he try to get away?
No, he was immediately subdued by the
Well,
officer.
he wouldn't have had a chance to get away.
How many shots were fired?
Just one shot.
Did you
What
see?
was Oswald wearing? Do you remember when he came out?
I didn't pay too much attention.
What, did you know the man? Did you see the man before?
Yes, he did.
Sir,
Did
yes.
you saw his face
Yes, sir.
and you knew him?
Yes, sir.
Pat, he is a resident of Dallas. Is he not?
Yes, sir. And that's all I'd want to say about the man inside.
This is Officer P.T. Dean of the Dallas Police Department.
It looks like that about about 3 feet away. Or how far would you say the shot was fired?
I couldn't tell. I couldn't see Oswald when the shot was fired. I immediately turned. I was waiting at the armored car to ride with the suspect to the county jail. As soon as the shot was fired, I came immediately down the ramp to assist the officers.
Officer, do you know this man personally that's in custody? In the line of duty or in another way?
Sir, I wouldn't want to say.
But he is known to you as a police officer.
Not a, as a police officer?
That is, you as a police
I
officer
see.
know him, is that correct?
Yes.
Was he connected in any way with this?
I don't know.
Had you seen him here in the building before the shot was fired?
No, sir.
Pat, could you outline briefly some of the security precautions that were taken immediately before this happened?
Yes, sir. We thoroughly searched the basement. We had searched even the cars up on top of the pipes and things that a person might conceal himself. There was about 15 to 20 men that had searched this place prior to 30 minutes. In fact, searched it twice, about an hour before and then 30 minutes before.
How many officers did you have outside, approximately, would you say?
About 20
About
uniformed
20
officers.
outside the building, and they're armed with riot guns, pistols, and all that.
Yes, sir. Some few of them are.
And you were then ready?
before in here?
No, sir.
You hadn't?
Today, no, sir.
Not today. Is there anything else that you possibly might tell us about him, Pat? I know that at the present time you're bound and can't say very much, but you have said that he is from Dallas and that you do know this subject and have seen him before.
Yes, sir, I do know.
Is there anything that you could say about him further than the fact that he is a resident of Dallas, the man who shot Oswald, to shed some more light on it?
Well, Bob, that would be all I'd want to say, really.
I'm sure that's the case. Now, at present, what in the way of release is going on inside? How soon do you think we're going to be able to know who this man is?
Well, the information would have to come from Captain Fritz's office.
Now, Captain Fritz came out of this door just a few steps ahead of Oswald. Do you know where he is at present?
No, sir, I don't.
Can you give us some indication of why these security precautions have been taken? Were there some threatening phone calls during the night that there might be some effort to take?
I couldn't
Oswald's
answer
life?
that. I don't know.
And you heard that?
This is merely a precautionary measure. The case as it is, it was felt that there had to be a security for him.
There were extreme precautions regarding the armored car.
Yes, sir.
Now, how, officer, would it be possible for someone to have slipped into this car over here with the elaborate security precautions that had
Sir,
been taken?
I can't answer. I do know the man. I would have known him on sight. If I'd seen him and noticed him, I would have ejected him. That's merely not because of him himself, but there was no one that was supposed to be in here but the press and the officers.
Now, what is it that you know about this man?
Sir, I wouldn't want to elaborate on my knowing.
Patrolman,
This then is the situation at this hour as we can reconstruct it. Just about 20 minutes ago, standing right here, Lee Oswald was shot by a man known to at least one Dallas police officer, P.T. Dean. The man apparently, according to the accounts of other detectives who were here, came out of a green vehicle parked beyond our camera range in the police garage here at Dallas Police Headquarters, leaped over a railing through the reporters who had been cordoned off on that side. And again, according to people who were closer than I, the man came through the group of reporters to Oswald, who was being transported just about in this position. And just at that moment, the gunshot was fired. And it sounded as if an automobile had backfired or someone had thrown a cherry bomb or a firecracker or something of that sort. Oswald clasped his stomach like this and moaned. And then, of course, there was absolute pandemonium as detectives and police officers moved in to take into custody this man, so far unidentified, so far apparently being questioned upstairs by Dallas Homicide Captain Will Fritz, who incidentally is the man who has been in charge of the interrogation of Oswald as the accused killer of President Kennedy. Now, I beg your pardon? There has been a police officer who was also shot named Jack Loby. Now, I only heard one gunshot. and apparently would have been some other kind of wound. That is to say, he apparently was winged by the same bullet. The man who shot him was Jack Loby.
Yes.
Now, where do we have that information from?
Where did that information come from? Jack. Fred. And the others?
We're still on?
Yeah.
We're still on the air. So therefore, we have to regroup and collect whatever information we can. Now, just to clarify that, we have a man identified as Jack Loby. This is Tom Pettit, NBC News, reporting from Dallas Police Headquarters. I just want to add one thing before we leave you, and that is that, to clarify, the man named Jack Loby is identified now as the assailant. Now, this is unclear. We'll try to find out the facts, but this we know: Oswald is wounded and has been taken to the hospital. This is Tom Pettit, NBC News, reporting from the basement of the Dallas Police Department.
And we're standing by awaiting the transfer of Oswald from city jail to county jail. And for that report, here is ABC's Bill Lord at the city jail. Bill, what's the situation?
Well, I am presently in the basement of the Dallas Municipal Building, and it is like an armed camp. For the past half hour, scores of police have been filing past me, carrying riot guns and rifles. Police officials are frankly worried. They don't want anything to happen to Oswald. They firmly believe that he is the man who killed the president. They want to make sure he is safely transferred to the county jail and that he does stand trial and is convicted. The elevator that will bring him down from the 5th floor to the basement is just several feet away from me. When he comes through here, I will be able to see him and describe to you the scene. And that's the latest from City Hall.
Thank you, Bill. We have other remote facilities at the county jail now, awaiting the arrival of Lee Oswald from the city jail to the county jail. And for the situation there now, here is ABC's Roger Sharp reporting.
At the scene of last Friday's assassination, heavy Sunday traffic filing by along the Elm Street approach to the Triple Underpass. A crowd of several hundred Dallas citizens has gathered along the Houston Avenue side of the Dallas County Courthouse, the route of the presidential motorcade, the area where President Kennedy passed moments before the fatal shots rang out. This is a curious crowd, no obvious anger in their faces, but all possible security precautions have been taken. Policemen are stationed at every 15 feet along the entire block. This crowd, by the way, is considerably larger than the crowd that lined this very same street more than 46 hours ago when the presidential motorcade moved by. Police have blocked off the courthouse building itself. Sheriff Bill Decker, Dallas County Sheriff Bill Decker, has done everything possible to assure strict security. No one is inside the courthouse building, which houses the county jail, other than authorized personnel of the county sheriff's department, authorized federal officials, police officials, or accredited newsmen. This is the Texas School Book Depository building, directly catacorner across Elm Street from the courthouse. It was on the 6th floor of this building, from the corner window, that the assailant, the assassin, fired the fatal shots from the bolt-action 6.5 millimeter Italian rifle. From that window, the shots covered a distance of approximately 250 to 300 feet, down to the point along the Elm Street approach to the underpass where the president was shot. From inside the courthouse compound, the motor entrance to the county sheriff's office, our cameras will show the approach of the car that will carry Lee Harvey Oswald into the courthouse building. He will be housed in the jail of this building. He may possibly be in a cell that will face the assassination scene. He will be within 100 yards of where President Kennedy died. Lee Harvey Oswald will spend most likely the next couple of months in this building. He will be here through his arraignment and through his trial, which will probably come sometime in early January.
We're inside the county courthouse, which the presumed assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, is soon to enter. He'll be taken immediately to a booking room, and a very historic booking will be made. Next, into an ID room, where he'll be photographed and fingerprinted. And then representatives of the press will have their first opportunity for a real front-to-front confrontation. Now, our big television cameras can't fit in that room, but we'll shoot that on sound film, and just as soon as that's processed, you'll be able to see it. After the press has its time with Oswald, he perhaps will be given a set of prison clothing, or he may be allowed to retain his own. And then he'll be brought to a cell. It'll probably be a special cell about 10 feet by 10 feet with a steel cot, a wash basin. That's about all. There's a possibility, only a possibility, that that cell may have a window giving out on the assassination site. This is Paul Good returning you to WFAA.
And we are still standing by, awaiting on the movement of the prisoner Oswald. We still have ABC's Bill Lord on the phone from City Hall. So once again, Bill Lord, what is the situation at ABC's at the City Hall?
Well, Bob, we are waiting and waiting. It is anticipated that he will be moved because extreme precautions have been taken. As I said before, the police are worried. They are so worried they've talked about the possibility of moving him in an armored vehicle, not just the normal sheriff's vehicle. And when this arrives, we'll know that this is the cue for Mr. Oswald to be brought downstairs and transferred to the car.
Bill, what about the arm precaution down there? Are there weapons visible?
There are many weapons visible. Riot guns and rifles are on display. The officers have them in their hands. They are ready to prevent anything they possibly can. There are perhaps 200 or 300 people outside the City Hall waiting to see the transfer of Oswald.
All right, very good, Bill. Thank you very much. Bill Lord, ABC, standing by at City Hall. And now I think once again we'll go down to the county jail, and where Roger Sharp is standing by outside. Roger?
Outside of the county courthouse here, in the distance, some 300 feet from where I am standing, the area directly adjacent to the assassination point, the park area where during the past 24 hours numerous floral wreaths have been laid by various Dallas citizens and organizations. The first floral arrangement was placed early yesterday morning by a lone man, Mr. Henry Stanton, who placed the flowers there in memory of the president with a simple inscription.
Bob Walker, WFAA TV, Dallas, Texas, interrupting. There's been a shooting at Dallas Police Station as Oswald was being transferred. For details, Bill Lord, ABC at City Hall. Bill.
Just 1 minute ago, they were bringing Oswald out. He had apparently changed clothes. He was just going out the door, heading towards the armored car, and there was a bang. We believe it was a shot. And apparently, what has happened to it, we do not know at the present time. Policemen rushed to the scene, attempting to ascertain what had happened. Photographers were taking pictures. Is there someone down on the floor over there? Is there someone injured down on the floor? Apparently Oswald is the word we get, but this is unconfirmed because no one can really see what has happened. There was a shot, one shot, and everyone here jumped to see what had happened. Apparently Oswald was shot by a small elderly man. An elderly man with a small revolver. Where I'm standing...
How far are you away, Bill?
I'm about 20 feet away from apparently where Oswald is. If this is Oswald down on the floor, I cannot see him. There's a bench in between me. But they are examining a man who is on the floor, and the police look very concerned at this moment. The report is that an elderly man with a small revolver. Again, I caution that this I did not see, but these are the reports. There is someone down on the floor. A detective put his hand up on his forehead, shaking it. Oh, no, this has happened. There are 2 men down, apparently, but only 1 shot was fired. Can we get confirmation? Is that Oswald? They saw Oswald lying on the floor. He is injured. They're taking him back upstairs now. His shirt is ripped open.
Can you tell where he was shot, Bill?
No, we cannot tell that. No, we're not sure if that was Oswald. They believe that might have been the man who did the shooting. His shirt is ripped apart. Oswald is on the floor.
At the other end of town, Dallas Sheriff Bill Decker is awaiting the arrival of his new prisoner when he gets the word that something has happened.
Sheriff Decker, this is Roger Sharp of Channel 8 and WMA-TV. Yes, sir. Sheriff, no, other than what has come over your TV coverage, I understand that he and a police officer both have been shot. There too? Yeah, and their report is also that it's a man in a black hat. That's all the information we have. Black hat? Black hat. That's all. Elderly man? Don't know. I couldn't tell you. This man, whoever's got the TV coverage here, will have more of it than I will because it's coming direct right over the TV. Live from the scene. Bill, on whose custody? Still at the city. He's never been. He has not been delivered to me yet. He's still at one of the city. Where at the city hall is it happening? In the basement, I understand. Are they bringing the party? They bring all prisoners down from the. Yeah, they're jail down in that little room in the basement, right? They're now loading him in and loading him in an ambulance up there. So the TV man said just a minute ago. I understand, Roger, that the ambulance is going to be coming down Elm Street over there. In the meantime, why don't we talk? It'll come Elm. It'll come Main. If the ambulance comes Main, it'll make a right turn here and go that way. All right.
More caution and protection had been used for this man than anything had ever been seen in the city of Dallas, probably more than had been used to protect the President of the United States. In fact, Dallas City Hall is normally a public building, but today it was really under armed guard.
Jackson.
Is this a confirmed report as to who did the shooting?
As far as I know, I just got it from Vic Robertson.
Vic Robertson from City Hall reports that Jack Ruby, the owner of the Carousel, which is a bar in Dallas, did the shooting. That's a report from City Hall. Evidently a report taken from that statement that Police Chief Jess Curry was just to give. But Jack Ruby, owner of the Carousel in Dallas, reportedly did the shooting. Repeating and bringing you up to date at approximately 20 minutes past 11 o'clock this morning as Lee Oswald was being moved from the City Hall, from Dallas City Jail to the County Jail. He had just passed ABC's Bill Lord, flanked by policemen. The moment he went out of Lord's sight, a shot rang out. Oswald slumped to the ground, and about that time, police grabbed a man, now identified as Jack Ruby of Dallas, ushered him by. Oswald, meanwhile, lying prostrate on the ground, clutching his left side. Oswald then was placed in an ambulance and sped out to Parkland Hospital. And so far we have no report on his condition from Parkland Hospital. But we do have word that Jack Ruby, the owner of the Carousel in Dallas, was the person who shot Lee Oswald, the man who assassinated President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. There was some talk this morning of taking him in an armored car from the City Hall to the County Jail. Whether that was to have been accomplished, we don't know. Bill Lord did not say anything about an armored car, except that he did hear this morning that it had to be carried. It had to be carried in a sheriff's vehicle because he was going to the sheriff's jail. However, we do not know if that was to take place because Oswald never did get in the car. He was taken in an ambulance. He has been shot. A wild scene, of course, developed in the basement of the City Hall. At one point, detectives and police officers trying to get the wounded Oswald back into the booking office jammed themselves in the doorway and got stuck. Oswald was dressed in a pair of black trousers, a tan shirt, and black sweater. Oswald made no sound. He fell to the floor, clutching his side below the rib cage. It was not immediately known who the man was. We do have later information that it was Jack Ruby of the Carousel Bar in Dallas. Prior to bringing Oswald to the basement, police using flashlights searched the entire area of the basement. Officers with riot guns and rifles were posted throughout the basement area. A one-way drive from the street level to the basement and out the other side of the big square building in downtown Dallas was guarded at each end by uniformed officers. All persons entering the basement area were presumably checked and cleared by the police. All newsmen had been required to show credentials before being allowed into the basement area. In the excitement with officers running around the basement, Small Man was hustled into the prison elevator and taken upstairs. Oswald's head wobbled back and forth as the stretcher was slid into the ambulance. An armored car was blocking the way of the ambulance and it had to be moved. One shot was fired. The shot could be heard plainly. In fact, you may have heard it. I heard it over the telephone. Dallas Sheriff Bill Decker says he understands a police officer has been shot too, possibly by the same bullet that did strike Oswald. Oswald was the only wounded person, however, brought to the emergency ward at Parkland Hospital. And Police Lieutenant George Butler has identified the man that did the shooting as Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner. And that's all that we have. That should bring you fairly much up to date. Oswald, repeating, was shot, was put on a litter, was holding his left side. An ambulance apparently had been standing by in case of emergency. It was rushed up, and Oswald put into it, taken to Parkland Hospital. He was going in the very emergency entrance out there where the body of President Kennedy was taken earlier and where the president died. An amazing thing that has happened in Dallas this morning. Lee Oswald has been shot. How seriously, we do not know. But he'd been taken to Parkland Hospital. Repeating details as we have them. He was shot in the City Hall, in the police station. Supposedly, everybody had been cleared, and supposedly the area was fairly well checked. Dallas police had set up stringent security measures for Oswald's transfer. Of course, the transfer had been announced beforehand to the public, and the time the public was given was 10 o'clock this morning. The actual transfer took place an hour and 20 minutes later. Prior to bringing Oswald to the basement, police using flashlights had searched the entire basement area. Officers with riot guns and rifles were posted throughout the basement area. A one-way drive from the street level to the basement and out the other side was guarded at each end by uniformed police officers. All persons entering the basement area, presumably, had been checked and cleared by the police. All newsmen had been required to show credentials before being allowed into the basement area. In the excitement with officers rushing around the basement, the man was hustled into the prison elevator and taken upstairs. Oswald's head wobbled back and forth as the stretcher was slid onto the ambulance. An armored car was blocking the way of the ambulance, and it had to be moved. And as far as we can ascertain, only one shot has been fired. Dallas Sheriff Bill Decker says he understands a police officer has been shot. possibly by the same bullet that struck Oswald. However, Oswald was the only wounded person. Yes. Walker. I'm on the network feed now. What? Bob Walker, WFAA-TV Dallas, with further details on the shooting of Lee Oswald. Police have now picked up Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner. They have identified him as the man that did the shooting. Reconstructing the scene for you best as we can. Oswald was just being taken down by our ABC man, Bill Lord, who was there on telephone at the time. Was going to be placed in an armored car. Definitely now that's been established. An armored car had to be moved before Oswald was taken to the hospital. He had just passed Bill Lord and had turned away from Lord's vision when one shot rang out. Then there was mass confusion for from 10 to 15 minutes. When the scene had cleared, an elderly man had been apprehended by police, taken upstairs in the elevator. Oswald had grabbed his side and had fallen to the floor, uttering a gasp, bleeding profusely from below the left rib cage. Oswald, it was clearly known then, had been shot, and what Dallas police had feared most had occurred. The most stringent security measures had been taken to get Oswald from the city jail to the county jail. In fact, last night there was some speculation as to whether he would be moved at all, but they decided to move him. They made a public announcement that he would be moved at 10 o'clock this morning. It occurred at 11:20 this morning, about an hour and 20 minutes late. But sometime things do not happen. Here is Jim Davidson, ABC News cameraman, who was there when the shooting occurred. Jim, describe what happened.
The transfer was occurring late. There were a number of officers around. There seemed to be unusual security precautions. At the last minute, they moved all of the cameramen outside the area, except for two of us, and we moved back instead of out to the driveway. I made the shot of Oswald coming out of the elevator through the grill work in the sergeant's office, followed him as far as I could, then moved to the glass doorways and was shooting at the back of the officers surrounding him as they carried him toward moved him toward the car. At that time, a shot rang out. I suppose I was within 10 feet of the man. My camera was rolling and I was rolling. The officers immediately grouped around Oswald and grouped around somebody else. It was a scuffle. Guns were drawn, and they rushed the man they captured and Oswald back into this office on the basement of the city hall. We backed up into the thing, and I shot through the grill work. I could not see Oswald, but he was surrounded by officers.
Who shot him? Man in a black hat. Man in a black hat. A police officer.
A police officer shot him.
No, a man in a black hat shot him. He also shot a policeman.
Shot a policeman too. Well, he didn't mean probably to. Probably didn't intend to shoot the policeman, did they? It's on account of the.
That's right.
Where's he now? Hospital.
He's taken to hospital. No one knows, Frank.
They won't come this direction, will they? No.
There was a possibility they would, but they.
Were they ready to bring him down here?
Yeah. We're outside of the courthouse where a crowd of several hundred had gathered, awaiting the arrival of Lee Harvey Oswald. 10 blocks away at City Hall, that arrival stopped by apparently a bullet. This crowd, when word flashed through the crowd that Oswald had been shot, broke out into a cheer. The crowd has been dispersing for the past 5 minutes, many of them just getting the news. What's your reaction to hearing that suspect Oswald has been shot down?
Well, I can't hardly say what right now, but I think that people wanted a quick decision on his execution and get him put away.
Do you think that was the right justice for him?
Well, I think he should have been tried, but people sometimes take the law in their own hand on a thing like this.
Young man, how do you feel about it?
Well, I don't think anything can be too bad for him, and maybe trial wouldn't have done anything different. He would have been shot anyway.
What about you, Gammon?
Well, maybe the Lord wanted it this way, and maybe he didn't. Maybe this is the best thing for him, I guess. Maybe it's not. It's my opinion.
Ma'am, how do you feel about the shooting of Oswald?
Well, I just feel like this is too good for him. I think he should have had a trial.
And I think he should have suffered more than what he has suffered now, and longer.
Were you drawn out here today by the prospect of getting a good look at him? Was that why you were here?
No, we just came down to see where the president was shot.
How do you feel about it now?
Well, I'm just real sad.
Sir, what is your reaction to what has happened this morning at City Hall?
Well, I think he got what he deserved if he's the one that did it.
Had you come down here to see him yourself?
No, I'm waiting for a train at 1 o'clock, and I just happened to stroll down to see the scene of the accident. I've walked down through here many times up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you very much, sir. As you can see, a crowd genuinely not very sorry that Oswald has been the victim of an assassin himself. The crowd here agreeing that there should have been a trial, but apparently there is a sentiment, as evidenced by the cheer that did ring out when the word was flashed. The scene here of anticipation has quieted now, and the scene is much different. This is Roger Sharp on Houston Street, directly opposite the Dallas County Courthouse.
Hey, officer, officer. Yeah, he's got to be here. There he is. There he is. Here he comes.
Now the prisoner wearing the white sweater is changed from his t-shirt.
Officer, trying over here.
Policemen rushed to the scene, attempting to ascertain what had happened. The photographers were taking pictures. Is there someone down on the floor over there? Is there someone injured down on the floor?
Apparently, Oswald.
Apparently Oswald is the word we get, but this is unconfirmed because no one can really see what has happened. There was a shot. One. Oswald is. If this is Oswald down on the floor, I cannot see him. There's a bench in between me, but they are exactly involved. Again, I caution that this I did not see, but these are the reports. There is someone down on the floor. A detective put his hand up on his forehead, shaking it. Oh, no, this has happened. They saw Oswald lying on the floor. He is injured. They're taking him back upstairs now. His shirt is ripped open. That's not Oswald. No, we cannot tell that. That apparently is the man who did the shooting. No, we're not sure if that was still someone else lying on the floor. It may have been a man who was armed. Is that Oswald on the shirt? Is ripped apart. He's bleeding. He is shot. He is shot. Oswald is shot.
It is Oswald. Can you see any evidence of the wound?
How serious is the injury? 11:24 here in Dallas. He's being wheeled out. Being wheeled out. He was shot in the lower left side. Lower left side. And apparently looks like he was shot in the lower left side. He's being put in a police ambulance. Going in the ambulance now. On and if they feared anything, they certainly didn't fear their way. Yes, they were worried, so worried about it.
This is the spot where Oswald's body was brought in to the inside of the police department in the basement. He was brought back in here after being...
I'm rolling.
This is a pan from the door leading out into the basement parking lot down to the spot where he was brought.
Play this little ball in, they want to get a television there.
About the man that was carried upstairs. Was that the man that shot the man, or do you know?
That is the man that shot the man.
Did anybody know who he was? Was he recognized?
I don't have his name at the present time.
Did you recognize him as somebody that's been around here this morning waiting?
I didn't recognize him. I didn't see him well enough.
Was Oswald the only man who was shot?
As far as we know, he's the only man shot.
Only one shot fired?
Only one shot fired to my knowledge.
Could you tell what kind of gun it was?
No, they do have the weapon, but I didn't see the weapon.
This is the exit where Oswald came out, but he did not come out the way police had intended him. The armored car was to have come through here, taking Oswald to the county jail. When the shot occurred and an ambulance arrived, he was taken out here and driven to the hospital. There were about 200 people on hand at the time. The crowd has grown now, wanting to see just what had happened. Did you hear the shooting?
I heard a shot.
What do you feel about this?
Oh, terrible.
Do you all feel bad about this?
Very, very bad.
The police wanted to make sure this man got a fair trial.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what happened.
We're sorry that he wasn't tried.
Well, apparently he is injured, and they've taken him to the hospital.
We hope he lives where he can be tried and brought to justice.
Apparently a small man, an elderly man, came down with a small pistol.
We heard a shot.
You heard the shot?
Yeah, we heard the shot.
What happened out here after you heard the shot?
Well, we heard the shot, and then they pulled the armored car away. And when they pulled the armored car away, why, everybody started running, and then all of a sudden this ambulance must have gone out another entrance, because we could see it up the street there. And everyone said, well, he must have been shot. And they started running to this building. I'm from out of town. I'm from Ohio. And we started running to this building here. We thought he was coming out this building here. So he has been shot. I just found out.
How bad is he injured?
This one? Did you hear the shot?
Oh, no, sir, I didn't hear.
You heard the shot?
I sure did, yeah.
How do you feel about this?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
Apparently Oswald was shot.
That's the way I understand it, yes.
Did anyone else hear the shot?
I heard it. I did. I heard it, and I told him, I said, I bet he got shot.
And he did. How do you feel about this?
I don't know. I hadn't reacted yet. I just don't know.
The Assistant Administrator, Stephen T. Landrigan, is about to make a new statement on the current condition of Lee Oswald.
All right, gentlemen, I have a statement.
Mr. Landrigan.
He can make it. Dr. Tom Shires has sent word down that the patient, Mr. Oswald, has a massive injury to the abdomen with major vessel injury. Bleeding has been controlled. However, the patient developed a cardiac arrest and is now undergoing open chest cardiac massage. Let me elaborate. A cardiac arrest means a spontaneous stopping of the heart. The chest was then opened, and the surgeons are at the present time with their hands massaging the patient's heart to try to restore a normal heartbeat. Is he alive, Doctor? No. Let Dr. Shires make his statement, please.
When did he die, Doctor?
He died at 1:07 our time, 13:07, of his gunshot wound. Would you like to ask questions or what? Yeah, Mr. Oswald died at 1:07 our time in the operating room of the gunshot wound which he had received.
Would you describe his last moments on the operating table, please?
The last moments were rather hectic. He had a cardiac arrest from all the massive blood loss, the massive injury. The last few minutes were spent in cardiac resuscitation, open heart massage, electrical defibrillation, internal defibrillation, and finally there were absolutely no signs of life at all, fixed dilated pupils and all the signs of death.
How many surgeons were working on him at the time?
There were 4 actually operating scrubbed at the same time, besides the others.
How long after the cardiac arrest did he die?
I don't really know. I imagine 20 or 30 minutes.
Did he ever talk to you or say anything?
No, he never regained consciousness at all. In fact, before surgery, we had no blood pressure, a few agonal respiratory efforts, and that was all. During the operation, once we got control of the major vessels, the aorta, the vena cava, the kidney injury, we had a blood pressure for a time, but then we had the cardiac arrest, which was obviously incident to massive blood loss, the anoxia that had occurred. This was, again, a fatal wound that he received.
KLIF Newsroom, Glenn Duncan. KLIF News continues its coverage of the nation's tragedy. At the moment, we're awaiting the transfer of Lee Harvey Oswald from the Dallas City Jail to the Dallas County Jail. KLIF Gary DeLong is on the scene. Gary?
We are waiting here in the basement of the City Hall, and they have just told us that we're going to have to leave this area. Several newsmen are gathered outside, and a cordon of policemen has been garnered to protect the exit of accused assassin Lee Harvey Oswald. So we're going to have to leave this area. They told us we cannot stay here. We will have further reports as soon as they are available and as soon as Oswald is whisked away to the Dallas County Jail. This is Gary Vaughn reporting for Cliff News.
KLIF News continues its coverage of the nation's tragedy. Stay tuned. It's 48 degrees in Dallas. 21 minutes after 11 o'clock. This is Glenn Duncan in the KLIF newsroom. Unconfirmed reports at the moment indicate the strong possibility that Lee Harvey Oswald may have been gunned down, may have been shot by what is unofficially reported to be a small elderly man with a small revolver. These are unofficial reports. We have not heard anything official yet, but unofficial word indicates that somehow in the movement from the Dallas County Jail to the Dallas County Jail, probably in the City Hall building, Lee Harvey Oswald, the accused assassin of President Kennedy, has himself been shot. This is unconfirmed. There are reports of one shot ringing out. The scene right now is one of utter confusion. We're awaiting official word within moments. Stay tuned. In the KLIF newsroom, again from the City Hall, apparently as the movement of Lee Harvey Oswald was initiated from the City Jail to the Dallas County Jail, someone was shot. It appears that Lee Harvey Oswald himself has been injured. How badly, we don't know, or we are not. It has not been officially confirmed that Oswald was shot. Someone was injured. The man that did the firing was a small elderly man with a small caliber revolver. This is one unofficial but eyewitness description from the scene. It appears at this moment Oswald has been injured, apparently shot, while he was being transferred from the city to the county jail. We hope to have official word within moments. Stay tuned. This is Glenn Duncan in the KLIF newsroom. Pandemonium at the city jail right now. Apparently, Lee Harvey Oswald has been shot. Apparently, while being moved from the city jail to the Dallas County Jail. No official word yet. An eyewitness at the scene says unofficially that a small elderly man has taken a shot at Oswald, apparently been hit. An ambulance has been moved in. We're waiting confirmation as to how many are wounded and who was wounded. And the exact details should be forthcoming within moments. Once again, Lee Harvey Oswald, accused assassin of President Kennedy, from reliable sources, has been shot. At least one person has been shot at the Dulles City Jail as Oswald was being moved to the county jail. Stay tuned. This is Glenn Duggan in the KLIF newsroom. We have word from an eyewitness at the scene who just told me that Lee Harvey Oswald has been shot. He is now reported to be in an O'Neill ambulance rushing to one of the area hospitals and shot in the right side of the face. An eyewitness seconds ago described to me the scene as Lee Harvey Oswald was loaded into an O'Neill ambulance. He said he was apparently shot by a man who had perhaps disguised himself as a detective or Secret Service agent. This is unconfirmed, but it now appears definite that Lee Harvey Oswald, accused assassin of President Kennedy, was shot in probably the right side of the face as he was leaving the city jail under heavy police escort and a transfer to the Dulles County Jail. Stay tuned. This is Glenn Duggan in the KLIF newsroom. An eyewitness on the scene, Cliff Reporter, has said that Lee Harvey Oswald has definitely been shot. He's been rushed off to one of the area hospitals in an O'Neill ambulance. The man who is believed to have shot him has been captured by Dulles police in the area. They are scuffling with him at the moment, loading him into, hustling him back into the jail, that is. Once again, Lee Harvey Oswald, the accused assassin of President Kennedy, gunned down himself in the Dulles City Jail as he was being prepared to move to the State County Jail. Stay tuned. This is Glenn Duggan in the KLIF newsroom. KLIF is now resuming continuous broadcast. New developments coming every moment here. Lee Harvey Oswald, the accused assassin of President Kennedy, was gunned down in the Dulles City Jail just a few moments ago. He was being prepared to be taken from the city jail to the Dulles County Jail. A small elderly man has been taken into custody. The man had a small caliber revolver. The shot occurred in the basement of the City Hall building as Oswald was being taken from the police booking office. The few short steps to an armored car which had been specially prepared for the move. It was a panel truck. The elderly man was grabbed by several police and rushed up to the City Hall building. Very meager details at this moment. The man is described as having graying hair surrounding a bald spot. He reportedly had a white shirt on, which has been ripped open or off in the scuffle with police. Oswald was flanked by a heavy guard of detectives when he was shot. It's still undetermined how it occurred. He was put on a litter holding his left side. An O'Neill ambulance had been standing by in case of emergency. It was brought up, and Oswald was put into it and rushed to Parkland Hospital. No confirmation on his arrival yet. The wild scene developed in the basement of the City Hall. At one point, detectives and police officers trying to get the wounded turncoat back into the booking office jammed themselves into the doorway and couldn't move. Police Chief Jesse Curry is preparing a statement. Oswald at the time was dressed in a pair of black trousers, a tan shirt, and a black sweater. When he was shot, he made no sound. He fell to the floor, clutching his side below the rib cage. His slight assailant, as we said, with gray hair, wearing a gray suit and a white shirt. It's not immediately known who he was or how he happened to even be present in the basement. Dallas police had set up stringent security measures for Oswald's transfer. Gary DeLong, were you on the scene, Gary? I believe we have some audio coming at the moment. The transfer had been announced beforehand to the public, of course, and prior to bringing Oswald to the basement, police using flashlights had searched the entire basement area. Officers with riot guns and rifles were posted throughout the basement area. Word coming. Gary DeLong, who was on the scene at the moment, has come rushing in. He can't even talk now. Obviously coming. What happened, Gary?
Grant, as Oswald was being escorted to an armored truck, which was about 100 feet from the scene. Suddenly, a shot rang out from right above our heads, and about this time, Oswald grabbed his stomach and slumped to the floor, and someone said, "Oh no." I I don't know who said it. And there was a mad scramble, and a bunch of police officers made a dash for one group of men and grabbed someone, and about this time it was cordoned off. And then Oswald was dragged back into the anteroom off the checkout desk at the Dallas City Jail in the basement.
That's your report. And Gary DeLong was on the scene at the time. Did you get a chance to see the man? Did you see the man who...
I know who the man was that shot
You know
Harvey Oswald. I think everybody does over there. I don't think his name has been released, but he is a well-known Dallasite who reportedly owns a Dallas nightclub. He has been taken into custody, and we don't know yet if this is the man or not. We are waiting to see. However, they do have this name from this. He reportedly came in with a TV cameraman, and the shot rang out from where the cameras were pointed toward the exit from which Oswald would come.
How many shots were there, Gary?
One shot only.
Just one?
Yes, one shot, and everybody started falling to the floor, and I was knocked to the ground in the mad scramble. It was pandemonium and confusion.
Was anyone else wounded except Oswald?
Oswald was the only one that hit the floor.
Where was he wounded? Did you see it, Gary?
He clutched his stomach, and someone said he was struck below the heart in the rib.
Gary, we had one report that he was wounded in the right side of the face. Did you see his head?
I did not see his head, but he did clutch his stomach.
And if only one shot was fired, it would indicate that the stomach shot could be the only one.
It was possible that he fell to the floor and may have hit his head on the cement floor. He was being escorted by Captain Fritz and about 6 other officers, one on each side, and whoever did hit him was a magnificent marksman, because he clutched his stomach and fell to the floor. And the entire building was cordoned off, and after just a few moments, police cordoned off the entire building. No one was permitted in or out, and about this time, everybody was told to get into a certain area, and they did get into the area, and then as pandemonium took place, and newsmen were running around as if the world had ended, which indeed it seems to have done on this weekend. Things were starting to get more of order, and Captain Fritz and the Secret Service agents and several officers pushed the newsmen behind a restraining line, and from there the order was restored to more of a usual rate.
Lee Harvey Oswald, the accused assassin of President Kennedy, a self-admitted Marxist, a pro-Castroite communist, gunned down today at the Dallas City Jail as he was being moved to the Dallas County Jail. One man, a small, elderly, gray-haired man in custody, and believed to be a local man, a local well-known man, but his name has not yet been released.
Should be.
KLIF is continuing its constant coverage of this event. Gary DeLong, who was there, is here now. Newsmen on the scene. More newsmen rushing to the scene. As soon as any official word comes, we'll have it for you immediately. Police Chief Jesse Curry has indicated he will have a statement shortly. We hope to have that as soon as possible. Lee Harvey Oswald was the only one wounded. He was taken to the emergency ward at Parkland Hospital, and he is there now, according to reports. Reports from the scene say Oswald was back and forth as the stretcher was shoved into the ambulance. He was clutching his stomach where he was apparently wounded. The small man who was captured by police was hustled into the prison elevator and taken upstairs. A hubbub of commotion. Police officers jamming themselves into the door so they couldn't move at one time. The nation watched this shooting today. National television networks, radio networks, KLIF, in fact, an open line to the scene when it occurred. Once again, Lee Harvey Oswald, the only person wounded in today's shooting, evidently. The accused assassin, the victim, at least wounded. The local man who was captured has been identified as a well-known Dallas nightclub operator, Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby, the small man, Police Lieutenant George Butler has identified, in his words, the man that did the shooting. That is the suspect. He was taken into custody immediately after the shooting occurred there in the Dallas City Jail.
Joe, if you can stand by just for a minute, we have more word from Gary DeLong at Parkland Hospital.
Gary DeLong, we're just pulling up here at Parkland Hospital where hundreds of sightseers are apparently coming to this area. We're talking with Captain J.M. Solomon. Captain, tell us and tell the people of Dallas what not to do, sir.
There's no point in any citizens coming to this area right now. We have an outer blockade and an inner blockade, a strict blockade. There's nothing allowed within the hospital grounds except emergency vehicles and the press.
That was Captain Solomon telling everybody to stay away. We are just now getting out here at the Parkland Hospital Emergency Room. We will have the condition and further reports from the hospital in just a matter of moments. Stay tuned.
We have this word from Parkland Hospital. Oswald is there. He went in with his eyes closed. He is apparently wounded in the left side. This is confirmed by everyone who was there. He was wounded in the left side. 12 doctors are reported to be working on Oswald in the emergency room. He was wheeled into the spot a mere 10 feet from where President Kennedy died. He's in trauma room number 2. He appeared to be unconscious as he was wheeled in. The Parkland Administrative Assistant, Peter Gielick, said that 12 doctors are working on Oswald. They're giving him blood and fluids, and that's the same treatment that President Kennedy received when he was brought in Friday. An electrocardiograph hooked up to watch Oswald's heart act. All that's known now is that he has a single bullet hole in his left side. The main police suspect in custody now, a Dallasite. No official word from police headquarters yet as to the actual involvement of this man. One shot fired today in the basement of the Dallas City Jail. One shot added to 3 shots fired some 43 hours ago to further the story that is electrifying the world. KLIF's Gary DeLong at Parkland Hospital, Cliff Newsmen throughout the city. In key locations, we here at KLIF News headquarters in downtown Dallas will coordinate and bring you reports from the key locations. The 2 main areas at the moment, no word from police headquarters, no word yet, but expected momentarily from Parkland Hospital. Here's Joe Long.
There has been a name tentatively released by Dallas police. However, it has always been KLIF's policy that we do not release names until formal charges have been filed or until the police say this is now public and it is yours to use. But according to all reports we have, this is a Dallas man, supposedly a well-known Dallas man. He obviously, this is the consensus of all reporters at police headquarters who were witnessing the attempted transfer of Oswald from his security cell into an armored van fenced to the Dallas Sheriff's Jail. This man who allegedly pulled the trigger that pumped the bullet into Oswald's body is a well-known Dallas man who gained entrance along with a reporter or a cameraman. This point is yet to be cleared up. He was grabbed immediately, as you heard Gary DeLong, the eyewitness KLIF reporter, describe to you, grabbed immediately and hustled into an anteroom in the basement of police headquarters. This is part of the records area. I stand by Gary DeLong at Parkland Hospital. So the Lee Oswald was rushed to surgery upstairs. We do not have a condition report at this time. One report said that his color was very bad when he did arrive at the hospital. He was in visible pain. We are awaiting word to see if a press or a news announcement will be made from the hospital shortly. We're going upstairs now to the administrator's office to see if we can find out any more information. Again, Lee Harvey Oswald, the accused assassin of President Kennedy, who was gunned down with one bullet this afternoon in the basement of the City Hall as he was being escorted to the Dallas County Jail, is in surgery. We do not yet know his condition. This is Jerry DeLon from Parkland Hospital.
At the KLIF News headquarters here, Gary DeLong's report from Parkland Hospital. No condition yet from the accused assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, gunned down himself in the basement of the city jail today and now being worked on frantically by some 12 doctors in the Parkland emergency ward. Gary DeLong moving to the administrative assistant's office to see if late word is forthcoming. The last word we had from that was still no condition. And now back to Joe Long.
As we were describing when Gary DeLong gave his most immediate report from Parkland Hospital, he now is journeying up to the surgical area where Lee Oswald has been taken to try to save his life from this another would-be assassin's bullet. The man was grabbed, the apparent assailant was grabbed and hustled into an anteroom area in the basement. Oswald also was pulled back from the line of vision of the many hundreds of newsmen who had jammed the area to describe and take pictures of his transfer from the jail cell into the van and then to the Dallas County Sheriff's Jail. But the man, of course, is now being interrogated. We have a name. It is a tentative name, but KLIS policy demands withholding of that name until we can determine precisely and police give us permission to release it to the public. But to all intents and purposes, he is a well-known Dallasite. Blake this morning stepped forward, placed a gun almost against the side of Lee Harvey Oswald, and pumped him. Oswald rushed to Parkland Hospital, the same facilities being used there now that were used in the attempt to save the life of President John Kennedy, and did save the life of Texas Governor John Connally. Dallas police had labored long, hard, wearying, almost nerve-wracking hours in trying to break down this man and trying to determine, is he truly the assassin of the President of the United States? Yesterday, we received the most encouraging word of all when Homicide Captain Will Fitz said, "We have this case cinched." Then Dallas Police Chief Jesse Curry stepped forward and told KLIF newsmen, "It's an airtight case. It's an airtight case." It is an airtight case. And now back to Glenn Duncan at Dallas KLIF News.
Glenn Duncan at KLIF News headquarters here. Still no word from Parkland Hospital. Clips Gary DeLong on the scene there where the accused assassin of President Kennedy, Lee Harvey Oswald, being treated for gunshot wounds he himself received today in the basement of the city jail while he was being prepared to be moved from the Dallas City Jail to the Dallas County Jail. Immediately after the O'Neill ambulance had raced off with Oswald, Police Chief Jesse Curry called for a news conference in his office. No official word forthcoming yet. Oswald was rolled up the same Parkland Hospital corridor as the president when he arrived. Reporters say his eyes was closed, his face twisted in his stretcher in apparent anguish. Oswald arrived at the hospital, ironically at the same time Mrs. John Connally, wife of wounded Texas Governor John Connally, was making her first public statement since the governor was shot when President Kennedy was killed last Friday. The only word from Parkland yet that Oswald appeared unconscious when he was taken into surgery. A hospital official, the hospital administrative assistant Peter Giddick, said 12 doctors are working on the accused assassin. They're giving him blood and fluids, the same treatment Mr. Kennedy received. Here's Joe Long.
The name of the man who is now being held by police, the one who obviously placed the gun at the side of Lee Oswald and pulled the trigger late in Dallas this morning, is Jack Ruby, a well-known local nightclub owner and operator. The name is Jack Ruby. This is the man who stepped forward and pulled the trigger, sending a bullet into the body of Lee Oswald, the man charged with the assassination of President Kennedy and the slaying of a Dallas police officer. The man whom Dallas police said they have an airtight case against him at this time. Enough physical evidence to successfully prosecute and condemn Harvey Oswald is in emergency surgery. Some 1,000 top Dallas surgeons struggling to save his life. Save his life so that these charges may be pressed, an indictment may be handed down, and conviction be obtained in justice before the courts of Texas. But Gary DeLon, in his most dramatic and eloquent eyewitness account of the shooting, which you heard earlier, this will be rebroadcast for you momentarily. But Gary DeLon is at Parkland Hospital, hovering in the hallways outside the emergency area, talking with the police officials and the hospital administrators, trying to gain late details concerning the condition of this man, whose name now is on the lips of and in the minds of people all over the world. The man charged with the slaying of the President of the United States. Lee Harvey Oswald had been in the Dallas City Jail since shortly after the assassination of President Kennedy. He had undergone intensive questioning, but basically had received no treatment any different from that of other prisoners. He had been on the same diet. He was in a maximum security cell under heavy guard, of course. The interrogation was intensive. It was persistent. It was constant. And Dallas police and the Secret Service and the FBI had formed a case which yesterday, as you heard on KLIF News, was airtight. This, said Captain Will Fritz of the Dallas Homicide Division, is the man who killed President Kennedy. And it appeared the wheels of justice were well oiled once again, and that the process of the courts would take over. That Lee Harvey Oswald would be taken before a grand jury Tuesday or Wednesday. An indictment perhaps would have been handed down. Then the trial, according to Dallas County District Attorney Henry Wade, would come about in mid-January. But now, all is confusion. The calendar has been changed suddenly, as once again a finger has squeezed against the trigger. And the man identified as Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner and operator, has pumped a bullet into the side or stomach of Lee Oswald. He was rushed immediately, just within a matter of minutes. An O'Neill ambulance sped down the steep ramp deep in the bowels of the Dallas Police Department basement, picked up Oswald on a stretcher, and rushed him the highest emergency speed to Dallas Parkland Hospital. From now on, it's a matter of medical science taking over, trying to save this man's life so that he can stand before his fellow citizens and answer to the charges which have been placed against him.
Joe?
Yes.
This is Glenn talking at KLIF News Central. We've received word here that Lee Harvey Oswald is in extremely critical condition. This unofficial, as you have heard, Parkland Hospital, in extremely critical condition. The term given to the condition of Lee Harvey Oswald. We hope to have a detailed report within moments for KLIF's Gary DeLon. Steve Landrigan, the assistant administrator, and he had what to say, Gary.
Critical condition. He is in surgery at this time. He will be in surgery for several hours.
Go ahead, Gary. We have you on now.
We have just talked with Assistant Administrator Steve Landrigan here at Parkland Hospital. Landrigan has told the press that the doctor in charge of surgery for Lee Harvey Oswald states that Oswald is in extreme critical condition and he will remain in surgery for several hours. One newsman asked Landrigan what condition Oswald appeared to be in. Landrigan said he looked pretty bad to me when they brought him in, but of course he said, I'm no doctor and I can't say it for sure. Again, he's going to be in surgery for several hours. Ironically, he was rushed to the floor down from the wing where Governor Connolly is now recuperating from the bullet that pierced his back, believed fired from the rifle of Lee Harvey Oswald. Extreme critical condition, that's the word from Parkland Hospital. Oswald, now in surgery, will probably be there for several hours. This is Gary DeLon reporting from Parkland Hospital.
Gary DeLon from Parkland Hospital. This is Glenn Duggan back in the KLIF studios. The word from Parkland Hospital is that Lee Harvey Oswald in extremely critical condition, slated to spend several hours in surgery. We now have a report of a reaction from Cleveland, and from Cleveland, Ohio, this is Gordon McClendon.
This is the old Scotchman, Gordon curiosity as Dallas is throughout the world, to say the least. But now they're going to be even more so as they take the field at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland this afternoon before a crowd of some 40,000. The broadcast, as a result of the broadcast that is over Cleveland radio stations as a result of the late news on Oswald, has been canceled for the moment. Perhaps the last half of the game will be broadcast, but stations here are going to be following the latest developments in the Oswald episode, the attempted murder of Oswald. Transistor radios here at Municipal Stadium will be tuned to the developments on Oswald and to the President's funeral services in Washington. They are, in fact, all over the stands. Hard to believe a football game where transistor radios are all tuned throughout the stands to some other event entirely, because even though they want to tune to the football game here in Cleveland, there is no broadcast of the same. It'll probably be the first National Football League game in years without any radio or television coverage whatever locally, and that's due to the in the last few years, the cancellations as a result of the Oswald shooting in Dallas. People here have not seemed to grasp the fact that Oswald was indeed surrounded by evidence. Nobody here that we have talked to really understood that Oswald had a great deal of evidence against him. People seem to think that the Dallas Police Department really had the wrong man, or that Oswald was being held for want of a better suspect. And, of course, people closer to the scene back in Dallas know that the evidence against Oswald was tremendous. The reaction here in Cleveland is interesting to that extent that no one here that we've talked to, taxi drivers, hotel employees, employees of the Cleveland Browns Football Club, the various people we've had an opportunity to be around since we arrived here yesterday afternoon, no one really thought that Oswald was the guilty party. Curious chain of events. Here in Cleveland, 40,000 with transistor radios tuned to everything but the Cleveland Brown Dallas Cowboy football game. Pale sun, lackluster afternoon. We wait further developments. This is the old Scotsman Gordon McClendon from Municipal Stadium in Cleveland.
This is Glenn Duncan at Police Headquarters. I've just finished talking with Officer P.T. Dean of the Dallas Police Department. He told me he has talked to Jack Ruby since he was taken into custody. Dean said he spent some time with Ruby, and this is what he said Ruby said to him. Officer Dean told me that Jack Ruby admitted shooting Lee Harvey Oswald. He said he did it because he was motivated by a sense of feeling for Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy. Officer Dean said Ruby told him he shot Oswald because he didn't want Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy to go through the ordeal, the long due processes of law. Ruby allegedly said that he did not want Mrs. Kennedy to come back here to Dallas and have to face the ordeal of a trial. Officer Dean said Ruby was rational, did not appear to be drinking, did not seem to hold any belief in that he thought he would be able to get away. I asked Officer Dean specifically, did Ruby indicate any plans for getting away, or did he seem resigned? And Officer Dean said he said nothing about trying to get away. Ruby told Dean, from what Dean told me, that he was not trying to be a hero, but merely motivated through a sense of feeling for Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy when he gunned down Lee Harvey Oswald in the basement of the Dallas City Jail today. This is Glenn Duncan at Dallas Police Headquarters.
Thank you very much, Glenn Duncan from Police Headquarters. And as Glenn told you, we were speculating a moment ago as to the motive for the slaying, or not the slaying, we should say the attempted slaying of Lee Oswald. Ruby says he did it out of a sense of feeling for Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy. Very good report from Police Headquarters, where Glenn Duncan is now stationed and is standing by with further reports as they come in. As we put all the pieces together in this latest incident that has happened here in Dallas, Lee Oswald was shot by Jack Ruby, a prominent nightclub owner here in the city of Big D. less than 48 hours after Oswald, and we can certainly say it was Oswald because Police Chief Jesse Curry says it was, who shot President Kennedy. Those events seem like eons ago, but it was only Friday afternoon, shortly after 12:30, that the President's motorcade, driving down Elm Street, reached the intersection of Elm and Houston, and a gunman swinging an Italian-made rifle out the Sixton building pulled down and shot President Kennedy in the head and severely wounding Governor John Connally. And less than 48 hours later, that man himself gunned down by a nightclub owner, Jack Ruby. At Parkland Hospital, doctors are working to save the life of that man, Lee Harvey Oswald. He was rushed by ambulance to Parkland Hospital this morning. He is in extremely critical condition. Surgery is being performed on a wound in Oswald's left side. If you just received the news, here's a reconstruction of just exactly what happened. Jail. He was in the basement section of the Dallas City Hall. Jack Ruby leaped over a railing. He fired a pistol point blank into Oswald's side. Oswald, with his hands manacled, of course, fell slowly and without any word to the concrete floor. He clutched his left side and he writhed in agony. A swarm of police jumped Ruby and wrestled him down. An ambulance had been standing by just in case of any emergency such as this, and immediately Oswald was placed on the stretcher. His head wobbled back and forth as the letter was put in the ambulance. An armored car blocked the ambulance from starting off. It had to be moved, and then finally the ambulance made its way, as the police say, Code 3, extreme emergency, to Parkland Hospital. There, he was placed in the same emergency room and given emergency treatment before taken to the operating room where right now a team of surgeons Lee Oswald. Dr. Tom Shires, chief of surgery at Parkland, said that the accused assassin might be in surgery for at least 4 hours. It was an hour ago that he went in surgery. Gary DeLon standing by at Parkland Hospital. Shires, of course, as you know, was one of 3 doctors who operated on Governor John Connally, himself wounded with the late president. It was Shires who said that about 24 hours ago that if Governor John Connally had not turned slightly after Shires believes he heard the shot that was fired at President Kennedy, if Governor John Connally had not turned slightly at that moment, he would be a dead man today, because the bullet, instead of going immediately through his back and penetrating his heart, went through his shoulder, nicked his lung and his 5th rib, and came out the front. And that is the way it is at this moment. Lee Oswald at Parkland Hospital, where the life of President Kennedy ebbed away at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon, where Governor John Connally is in satisfactory condition today with bullets from Oswald's gun. And now Oswald in very critical condition with bullets from another Dallas man's gun, Jack Ruby. Gary DeLon is standing by at Parkland Hospital, as you heard us report from Steve Landrigan just a few moments ago. Steve said over the phone to us that Oswald is still in very extremely critical condition, as 15 or 20 pints of blood have been poured into his body. This is KLIF. It is 1 minute past 1 o'clock. 1 minute past 1 o'clock. 48 hours and 1 minute since the life of President Kennedy ebbed away at Parkland Hospital. 48 hours, 1 minute, and 30 seconds. The world was turned upside down on the streets of Dallas. And now we have a late report coming in. Here it is.
Go. This is Glenn Duncan at police headquarters. No word yet from Police Chief Jesse Curry, who says he will issue a statement shortly on the shooting of Lee Harvey Oswald. In custody is Jack Ruby, Dallas nightclub owner, and a man has showed up, George Senator, a citizen, not a politician. His name is Senator. We talked to him. He said that he has lived with Ruby and known him on and off for about 7 years, that Ruby was shaken by the tragedy of the president's death, but did not seem to be any more shaken than the normal citizen. Did not seem inspired to violence, in other words. George Senator said that he knew Ruby did have a gun. He assumed that he kept it at his nightclub, which has been closed recently. Very little forthcoming from Mr. Senator. He was quickly rushed into the office where Jack Ruby himself is being questioned now, and we still await a statement from Police Chief Jesse Curry. This is Glenn Duncan, Cliff News at Police Headquarters.
A word from Parkland Hospital. Doctors at Parkland Hospital say that accused presidential assassin Lee Harvey Oswald's heart has stopped. They are trying to keep him alive with open heart massage. We'll repeat that. This latest from Parkland Hospital. Doctors at Parkland say that accused presidential assassin Lee Harvey Oswald's heart has stopped. They are trying to keep open alive with open heart massage. This is just 48 hours and 3 minutes since the life of President Kennedy ebbed away at Parkland Hospital. And now, the life of Lee Harvey Oswald seems to be ebbing away as doctors at Parkland Hospital tell us that the accused assassin's heart has stopped. They are trying to keep him alive with open heart massage. Just a little more than 48 hours ago, we reported on another type of massage as the doctor who first looked at President Kennedy when he was brought into the emergency room. He said he saw there was almost no hope, but they tried heart massage. This was not internal, this was chest massage, trying desperately to get a heartbeat from the late president, but to no avail. As doctors, white-faced, met with newsmen 20 minutes after the president died and described what they did to try to keep the chief executive alive. And one of those methods was to use external chest massage, trying desperately to get the heart going. But, as the doctor said later, there was no heartbeat when the president was brought into the emergency room at Parkland Hospital. And now, another desperate battle is going on. This of a slightly different kind, but doctors who know no politics try to keep every patient alive if they can. And now, after 48 hours ago, working over Governor John Connally and the late President Kennedy, they're working on another patient. And this is Lee Harvey Oswald, whose heart has stopped at last report. Lee Harvey Oswald's heart, the accused assassin, after taking a bullet in the side and the stomach from Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner. As doctors desperately try to save Lee Harvey Oswald's life. His heart has stopped, and they have cut his chest open, evidently, according to the latest report. Yes, open heart massage. They are trying, going into the chest, massaging the heart, and trying to get it beating again. Here is Joe Long.
Roy, it appears at this point that it will take nothing short of a miracle, medical or otherwise, for Lee Harvey Oswald to face trial or charges for the assassination of President Kennedy. Ordinarily, doctors are extremely reticent to make any such critical statements as they have made just recently at Parkland Hospital, unless the situation is extremely grave. But if they say now that Lee Harvey Oswald's heart has stopped, and they are administering open heart massage, it appears that the situation is more than extremely critical. Here again, we have one of the ironies of life. As Roy described to you, it was only 2 days ago, at approximately the same time President Kennedy died. His moment of life, after having been felled by an assassin's bullet, was extremely brief, far more brief than that at this moment of the man who is charged with shooting him. And in the very same hospital where the president died and where medical science labored so skillfully to resume his life, this man charged with killing him now struggles for life. It is indeed an extremely thin thread to which he clings at this moment. The game scheduled to be broadcast between Cleveland and Dallas will not be heard today. KLIF has abandoned all of its regular programming to bring you constant and continuous coverage of this, the second earth-shattering event to occur in Dallas in 2 days' time, actually in less than 48 hours. Let's summarize for those of you who are clinging, as are people all over the world, to your radios to determine the latest events. Accused assassin Lee Harvey Oswald. He's a self-confessed communist and Castro sympathizer. He was shot down by a nightclub owner, Jack Ruby, of Dallas, in the basement of Dallas City Hall and police headquarters today. He has been rushed to Parkland Hospital. He is now being given open heart massage. in an emergency room at Parkland across the corridor and 10 feet from the room where Kennedy died, only 10 feet from where the president died, this team of surgeons struggles to save the life of the man police said flatly was the assassin of the president and the slayer of the Dallas police officer. And now we are ready for a late report from Dallas Parkland Hospital. Here is KLIF's Gary DeLon.
This late report from Stephen African, Assistant Administrator for Parkland Hospital. At the latest report from the opened the chest cavity of Lee Harvey Oswald, the accused assassin of President Kennedy, and we're doing heart massage. The medical term is a heart arrest, which does not necessarily mean the patient is dead or that the heart has completely stopped functioning, but it does mean that there is necessary reason to massage the heart in order to get the blood circulating once again. So the team of surgeons fighting to save the life of Lee Harvey Oswald here in the emergency surgical area of Parkland Hospital have opened the chest cavity of Lee Harvey Oswald and are performing internal heart massage. We will have further reports momentarily. This is Gary DeLon from Parkland Hospital.
And we are awaiting further word from Parkland Hospital, where Lee Harvey Oswald at last official report, and this report was given us by the chief surgeon, Dr. Tom Shires, reporting severe massive injury to the abdomen, major vessel injury, and at first open heart manual heart massage, open chest manual heart massage, and now Lee Harvey Oswald being kept alive, or at last report was being kept alive, a sonic pacemaker, one of the mechanical wonders of modern day medical science. This is the man who supposedly killed President John F. Kennedy. And the report we received and broadcast to you in actual voice sound from Dallas Police Chief Jesse Curry and Homicide Captain Will Fritz yesterday telling you, quote, "We have an airtight case. This is the man who killed President Kennedy." And District Attorney Henry Wade saying, "We have enough physical evidence to convict this man. Of course, we want more." Now, the more is the question, and the want and the need are other things. And a new report just now coming in from Parkland Hospital, Oswald is dead. Lee Harvey Oswald has died at the hands of a Dallas nightclub operator who, during the transfer of the assassin, the man accused of assassinating President Kennedy, Jack Ruby stepped forward, placed a gun to this man's side, pumped one bullet into him. He fell mortally wounded to the concrete floor at Dallas Police Headquarters. He now has died at Parkland Hospital. And the writing finger continues to write, and the pages of history turn, and the spotlight shifts, and President Kennedy died only 10 feet, in a room only 10 feet from the room where Oswald just has given up the ghost and has left this mortal world. So, one of the great unanswered questions in world history now hovers over the world. Was Lee Harvey Oswald the killer of President Kennedy? From his lips, we will never hear that answer, because the lips of Lee Harvey Oswald have been sealed for eternity. He is now dead. The frantic efforts of medical science failed to save this man's life. 48 hours and 25 minutes after the death of President Kennedy, Lee Harvey Oswald gave up the ghost and departed this world. 48 hours and 25 minutes, and many pages of history written during that time. Lee Harvey Oswald is dead at Dallas Parkland Hospital, the victim of the bullet pumped into his body by Dallas nightclub owner Jack Ruby.
And here he comes, Lee Oswald, the accused assassin. Captain Will Fritz leading the way, being escorted by police officers and sheriff. The shot rang out. The shot has rung out, and Lee Oswald falls. Lee Oswald has fallen. A shot has rung out here. A struggle is being in place. shot has rung out. And, ladies and gentlemen, Lee Oswald has just been shot. A shot has rung out. The press is being gathered now, and everyone says, nobody out. Oswald fell.
Yeah, he's got it. There he comes.
Now the prisoner wearing a black sweater, he has changed from his T-shirt, is being moved out toward an armored car, being led out by Captain Fritz. Here is the prisoner. Do you have anything to say in your defense? There's a shot. Oswald has been shot. Oswald has been shot. A shot rang out. Mass confusion here. All the doors have been locked. Holy mackerel. A shot rang out as he was led into his car. The shot, there's a mass confusion there, rolling and fighting. As he was being led out, now he's being led back. He was thrown to the ground. The police have the entire area blocked off. Everybody stay back, is the yell. Did you see it? What happened?
Yeah, I saw the guy. There's a man, a rather stocky man with a hat on, a dark...
stocky man with a hat on?
He rushed, he crashed, and he shot him there, and I saw the flash, and Oswald said, oh, and that's it.
Oswald doubled over. There was a big struggle on the ground. Just a moment earlier, I had, no doubt foolishly, jumped in front of him to get in the last question, to ask him what happened, whether he had anything to say in his defense, and then a split second later, the shot rang out.
I thought he was one of the detectives. You know, he had a hat, and he was well dressed. That's what I remember.
Had you seen him before?
I think he had his hat. There were none of us in this area.
One of the wildest scenes I've ever seen. Let me see if I can reconstruct it. Lee Harvey Oswald was coming out in a garage in the police headquarters at Dallas. He was being led out by Captain Fritz, who had been interrogating him for 2 days. He was wearing a black sweater. There were a mass of reporters and cameramen. We were all lined up. I was directly opposite Oswald. And as Oswald came out, I leaped forward and I said, do you have anything to say in your defense? Immediately after that, the shot rang out. There was a man posing as a reporter in the crowd here. Somehow he got in. Somehow he got through the police protection and police cordons. And now an ambulance is being rushed in here. Here is the ambulance. Screaming red lights. People, policemen.
I saw the guy and he was...
Let me get back over here. An ambulance has arrived. They are rushing a mobile stretcher in. Oswald was carried back into the hallway. Here is young Oswald now. He is being hustled in. He is lying flat. To me, he appears dead. There is a gunshot wound in his lower abdomen. He is white. Pull the top down there, yelling.
Here's the driver. Let the driver by.
Oswald, white, lying in the ambulance. His head is back. He is out, unconscious. Dangling, his hand is dangling over the edge of the stretcher. And now the ambulance is moving out. The flashing red lights. Detective hopped in. Oswald rushed out of here. Tremendous struggle on the ground. As Oswald doubled up, now he's off to the hospital, Parkland Hospital, we believe. Here are some police officials. Who was he?
Jack Ruby is the name.
Jack Ruby?
Ruby. Carousel Club.
He runs the Carousel Club? He handed me that card the other day. He was in.
What did he say?
He was in the He was in the headquarters here.
This gentleman knows more about it than I did.
I know him.
What did he
There
say
it is.
killed him?
I got a card from him the other day. There he is. Jack Ruby. Is this him? Carousel Club?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack Ruby. I see him run through.
Are you sure of that?
He's been looking at the chief. Who's going to give a complete briefing on this?
Chief Curry, head office on the 3rd floor. As soon as we can get it on.
Sure, it's Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby, who we noticed the other day, he was hanging around the police headquarters. Apparently, he's very well known here. And he was in the offices and mingling around, and now, so we understand, he has shot Oswald. Holy mackerel.